Okay, sorry about that. So I'm fooling around with the stupid please wait scene in OBS. And then when I had something, I tried to put a space in the text, and it completely crashes OBS. This version of OBS I'm running. So eventually I make it do him okay. I'll keep whatever it is at right now. But yeah, so I'm already like way late now. So I don't know, whatever. In fact, um, tomorrow and Friday, my dad has doctor's appointment, so I'm not sure if I'll be streaming. There's a possibility I could stream part one, maybe, but I don't think. It depends on when they're at. I don't know. I don't remember what the timing is. So if the timing is later in the day, I might be able to actually stream early in the day, maybe. Um, but then again, maybe not because usually they're around noon and stuff. Or like we have to be there at noon, and so it which means at the latest like 11 o'clock here, and more depending on if we end up having to go down to Tampa or something. I think both of these are in Lakeland though, so it'll be about an hour's drive, I think. So may or may not be able to actually stream. We'll see. Um, but I can't guarantee it, obviously. And obviously, I don't know. I have uh, so Restream is showing 3 people, and I think that's combined from YouTube and Rumble. But so I don't know. If I can't be here on time, maybe I don't know. Honestly, I wasn't going to stream originally, and so um, the streaming, I guess, doesn't matter as much. I guess I keep going. Well, maybe I just shouldn't stream this. It's um, like nobody's gonna come and watch the streams. Not really. Um, and so, but then I'm kind of like, well, I'm working anyways, so setting up the stream. It does take me about half an hour. Why? Because I go and I post to Discord and to X and even to IRC. That takes a few minutes, and so it does take a little setup time. It doesn't take that long. I always figure, well, it's not that much work anyways. You're just setting it up and you're just working. And so, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So, uh, yeah, I do know that there are a couple of things that would stop people from coming in here in the first place. Now, as far as retaining, there might be a ton of people that come in here and see the break or please wait or whatever and see me screwing around or whatever and decide that it's not worth their time. I mean, there might be tons of them like that. Um, but I don't know. I know the one main thing, at least as far as my old videos went, is because that they weren't showing any real progress. So I don't know if I'm like you couple guys that like actually listening to me, or you might be just doing it just to to be nice kind of thing, you know, fellow developer and all that stuff. But or you might actually like when I speak. But okay, so you got two kinds of people. One is the kind of person that likes the story stuff. When I start talking about the story stuff, not so much even the when I'm actually writing the pages out, but actually telling you the actual story part of the story. So you like that, and then there's others that like programming, and I don't know if I'm that interesting on the programming side. I tend to trail off. I tend to focus on stuff, I'm using AI a lot, and again, I don't have a problem using AI, and I'm not using AI for everything, you know. But um, it is some people don't like AI either, so I don't I don't know. I do know that it's slow going, and this it's stuff like today isn't doing me any favors either. So I wake up at 6:30, and I usually get going around 7. Drink my coffee, whatever. And that 7 to 9 is only 2 hours, and sometimes it's not enough to do a lot of stuff. So and it's certainly not a lot of time to do lawn work in, and it's kind of a weird situation here in Central Florida. It gets humid, it gets super hot. Today's going to be 93 or something, 93 Fahrenheit, which is I don't know, 32 Celsius or something like. Let's bring up a new window here. Let's full screen that. Um, oh, you can't see it anyways. That's all right. Um, 93 FNC. So 93 is almost 30 degree, 33, 34 Celsius. It's 33.8 Celsius. That's how hot it's going to get today. Yesterday it got up to 95. 95 would be 34. 95 would be 35 degrees Celsius. So you know how hot that is if you don't live in the U.S. So yeah, we're getting up into the lower to mid 30s Celsius, or the lower to mid 90s Fahrenheit. It's pretty hot. So so I have like this limited window here, and which is in the morning, because it gets humid, especially in the summer. It gets really humid. Uh, there's the dew on the ground, and it doesn't dry very quickly. It takes a while to dry, and when it's completely dry, it's usually the heat is up in the 80s. You know, let's see. Let's try. My cutoff is usually 86. So 86 would be about 30 degrees Celsius. So 30 degrees is about my cutoff. For 29. We'll say 29.5 to 30.0 Celsius. So 85 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit is about my cutoff for when it gets a little too hot to work out there. So this morning it was already 77 at like 7 o'clock. So it was already getting pretty hot, and so by the time it was almost 9, it was pretty hot. So I didn't get that much done because of the time. So so you have to wait until it's dry enough, and then to, like, for instance, mow the lawn, and then you can only go a certain amount of time before it gets too hot to work out there. And we do stuff in the evening. We eat dinner, we watch TV, and it's essentially family time, right? Spending time with dad. So I don't tend to do any lawn work in the evening. And these days, being the rainy season, being hurricane season, I don't get into the later in the day anyways, because it rains later in the days. So again, you don't have a lot of leeway there. And the reason I pushed the first part down to from 9 to 11 is because we eat now. We tend to we'll eat anywhere from 9 to 11 before, and now Dad decided to wait because after we eat, he lays down, takes a nap, whatever, and that's usually around 11 o'clock, or 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock, something like that. So that's why we pushed it that ways. So So yeah, so most of my day is working on this, and anyways, it's not really that important. Okay, so um, I am going to let's see. I'm going to actually run GitHub. Just give me a second here. Uh, oh, that. Why? Okay, that's weird. Whatever. Wait a second. Let's see some here. Not recovered yet. Say start. Finish. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this. There we go. Binary file has changed. Okay. Here. Deleted a few things. Okay. It's not really. Oh. Okay. Here, but you know what? I'll just go ahead and show you the desktop here. Uh, I'm doing this. Okay, so let's see. Summary required. Wait a no, that's the regular one. This is layout tool. Okay, layout tool. Okay, got it, got it. Updated some code. Commit. Push. Okay. Just close that right now. Go ahead and bring. Where's it at? Yeah, I know. Slow start today. In fact, I haven't actually posted it anywhere today, so uh, I guess I'll just be doing that as I'm working here, just because I'm so late today. Like I said, tomorrow and Friday, doctor's appointments. I may or may not be streaming. Anyways, so let's go ahead and okay, let's pull this out. Give me a few minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and post on X in the communities, I guess. Communities. We got Redot. We got indie games. I decided not to post to and Game Dev Brothers in Christ, I think it's called. Uh, and there's also one called Point and Click Adventures. And although nobody complained to me about it, uh, this isn't a point and click. At least not yet. It will be, but it's not at this moment. So I decided not to really advertise in there. Besides, a lot of them are. You know what? Well, I should look up adventure game communities. Let's see if there's another adventure game community that's just straight up in general. Maybe see if we can find one. Um, okay, so just give me a few seconds while I post to these. Why does that look like? Why does it look so big? Like that. Okay. Post. All right. I'll need one today because I'm doing the advertising post here. Chainlands, Devstream, D8. Okay. post. And go ahead and post in here. And great, we'll post that post. All right, that's okay. Let's go back to notifications. Okay. All right, all right. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna have to figure out a way of. Why did that? Needed to minimize. There we go. Let's go here. Let's go ahead and refresh. Refresh from Restream. And go to the chat. Everything should be good. Okay. While inside night school, John learns Princess was going to speak at Princess Prep. Never made it. Before it was closed down. And the headmistress there hasn't been seen in months. Okay. Someone tells them the knights are using real weapons and okay, so this is what I was going to do, and I guess I'll try to do it again. Let's go to recent. Let's go to my design notes. Yeah, it's okay. So this is the deal, right? I got about 80 different story beat pages to work on, and I'm not even with this new thing. I'm not even getting in like one a day. You know, this is gonna be 80 days. It's gonna be 2.5 months, unless I can do so one a day. That's 80 days. 60 and yeah, so it's 2.5 months, right? To get it down, if I do two a day, that's 40. So that's approximately a month and a half. Okay, so a month and a half, that shrinks it down. Then actually 2 months. Let me think this straight. 80, 20 divided by 4, 4 months. Okay. So it'll take me 4 months. 4 months at one a day. That's 80 days. 80 days. No. See, I'm still getting my time wrong. Oh, no, no, no. You're not counting all 30 days. 20 days a month. Unless it's a, 5-week month. It'd be 25. Doesn't really matter that much. Um, so 20 days a month. That's 4 months for 80 of them. Okay. So 4 months. Now, if I do 2 pages a day, if I can manage it, I don't think I can manage 2. But if I manage 2 pages a day, that means it should only take about 2 months. 40, yeah, 2 months. Okay? 2 months. Yes. 3 pages a day won't be 80. What is 80 divided by 3? Divided by 3 is 26.6. So 27 days. Wait, what am I thinking? If I do 3 a day, I okay. So 3 a day would get me down to, should get me to over a month though. How many days is that? That's 27 days. Yeah, 27 days instead of, if I did 4, it would be 20 days. But 27 days would be almost, it would be quite a month and a half. It'd be like a month and a week or something, right? A month and a week. I could handle that. If I did 4, it'd take me approximately a month. If I could manage 4 pages for story beats per day, I could get the main part of the game here done in a month. That's no small feat either. That's pretty it's pretty hefty. I'd be lucky to get one a day, which I'm not even doing that lately. So this is why I was thinking of maybe doing some of the story work offline. Does mean to you don't get to see every little bit of story stuff I do, but so it's a kind of the same process through the whole thing, no matter what part it is. I have a certain amount of things, and then I either have to come up with something interesting for them to do, so I can have choices. Um, I have to come up with something to do to have choices, and I had it. And so then sometimes I get stuck, and then I ask an AI to give me some suggestions. It gives some suggestions. I usually don't take any of the suggestions directly. I use them as sort of inspiration and for idea for bouncing stuff off of. And yeah, so I don't know if I could cram all this in and I could get all this done, it might be worth it not to stream all of it. Although I might do the progress report thing. You know, like the non if I okay, so if I do the do it offline and I just provided the I recorded maybe I recorded little updates just to show what exactly I came up with. And kind of like I'm doing now anyways for the regular updates, but I could string those updates together when I actually go back to whatever my next stream is, and then I could kind of show them in the background, maybe sped up or something while I'm working on the current up to date thing, and that way you still kind of get an idea of what I was doing, even if you don't see every little bit. I'm sleepy now. I thought I got the average amount of time. I guess part of it is being tired after working out in the hot sun. I mean, I didn't. Let's say I didn't do real strenuous work. For me, it was fairly strenuous, but in a sense, it really wasn't. It was just mowing the lawn. I got one of those auto, what do they call them? Self-driving mowers, and that's basically you hold a button in and it moves, and you want it to stop, you left up on the button, and sometimes when I get to the end of a row to turn around, I usually stop the stop the motor and just manually turn it around. And then sometimes when I get low on battery, I will I will push it without using the self-driving feature. And I did quite a bit of that today, and so that might be why I'm just super tired now. More sleepy than anything. Like I didn't get sleep last night. I thought I got enough sleep, but maybe not. Anyways, I'm almost falling asleep here. I want to close my eyes, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so so I was going through the nights thing. I don't remember what page I was on, so let's just go ahead and Control F. Let's go night. I guess I'm not going to follow the little schedule here. I'm going to do some work here. 30:10. I only got an hour left, less than an hour. So I'm going to spend the rest of this hour trying to see if I can do at least one story beat page here. Let's find night. Early in the battle. Catch up for Black Knight. And Great Knight. To be hunted. Okay. Royalty. I'm not sure if I got past royalty here. Okay, what do you want me to do again? Start by going to the Knights Academy and then Princess Prep. Here's a map, but only half of it works at a time. Oh, there's interesting. See, okay, so like, I had some of the stuff already mapped out here. December 23rd, 2024. Oh, this is still part of my notes, right? It's number 14. Yeah, still part of my notes. This is my original notes, and this edit here is just from last December. I will save. Okay, so this is some early ideas, and now it's even changed. I started kind of a basic walkthrough. John Thomas game walkthrough, possibly incomplete, subject to change, like way change. Maybe I can reincorporate some of the stuff in later. Jonathan is home, speaks to the screen before embarking on your adventure. You should probably learn the system. He then proceeds to instruct the player on the usage of the interface. Finally says a few closing words. From here on out, you're the boss. You're the big cheese head honcho, number one, number uno. You get the idea. You're in control, so let's see how well you do. Players are then allowed to roam around. This was actually too when he was going to be just the main character, like a standard adventure game. First item he needs to get is a book that talks about Enchanted Lands. The book may be located in various places in the library. He may wander around outside a few streets, his house, and a store. He needs to find his library card too, which may be in different areas of his home. See, I completely changed how I did that. This is probably still a good idea, but I don't know how to reincorporate it. To take a book out of the library, he needs a library card. He must read the book and take it with him if he wants to get the candy bar. The candy bar can be in a store or his house. It must be unwrapped to get the silver ticket. Bite it to open a portal, not eaten. He may find a boy searching for a bar with a golden ticket. Well, I already had the golden ticket gag there, but here it says I just came up with there might be a child opening up candy bars to find a golden ticket, and John might have to talk to him to get the silver ticket, as that's not what he's looking for. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a joke. He's running through opening all the candy bars up, much to the chagrin of the store owner, and John says he's looking for a silver ticket, and he's like, "Fine, I'll give you the silver ticket. I'm looking for gold tickets." When he's unwrapped the bar, okay, so and then back to the old notes. When he's unwrapped the bar, he doesn't eat it. John will talk too much and not allow any control until he eats the bar. So I guess when he unwraps it, uh, but you don't eat it, he starts talking. When he reads the book, it tells him to pass some channel ends. Then it ends with empty pages. It starts to fill with his adventure. Yeah, this is gonna be my hint for an autosave. I was I was reading about the Last Express. Jordan Mechner, the guy that created Prince of Persia. But basically, they rotoscoped a bunch of animation, and it's time based. And then there was something in it that would save your progress. It was some sort of time thing, like a clock or something. I forget exactly what it was. And The idea is it's completely integrated into the game. And I was thinking the same thing here. Still might think of the same thing here. It really depends. Um, we still might be introduced to. We might not be introduced to Hubert first. It might be on a Switch. We might be introduced to John first, and I might totally change how I do that and go back to this in a sense. I don't know just yet. I maybe not on the choose your own adventure version. When I get this done, it'll be done, and I don't know if I want to change it at that time. But maybe after I'm completely done, I'll go and say, okay, how can I integrate this? How can I redo this? And then that way, it'll be prepped for when I actually do full point and click. This is when it was going to be a straight up full point and click. It's not that it's not going to be. It's just I'm going to do it later just because I changed how I was building this thing. Okay, John Steps. Okay, the book is where you save games go. So um, it's a thing that gives you a little bit of a backstory, sort of like exposition. Although this is a game, so you can put exposition in a game, and not since it's not a movie. But it sort of gives him an idea of what Enchanted Lands is, and that it exists and stuff. And because when he reads it, and then when it ends, uh, and actually, what it's gonna do is it's gonna show in a little storybook form, like Enchanted Lands. The king and the wizard Harold, as he was called back then, decide they want to um, uh, what was I saying? Um, I lost it. I lost my train of thought here. Let's see, autosave. What was I saying? Doggone it. Hate them when that happens. Um, Anyways, I thought the idea of the autosave was yeah, okay. So it's gonna go through the history of Enchanted Lands like a storybook. Like he picks it up in the library. He can still do this. In fact, I can still put this in at any point in the game later on even. But he opens it up and it talks about this magic kingdom that decided that it was going to be nice, and the king and the wizard Harold decided they didn't want it to uh, they didn't want to have to tax the citizens, so they decided to turn the whole kingdom into a resort for the ridiculously wealthy, and shows how they prospered for a while, and then there there was a there was a character named Maximilian Spell, and he decided he wanted to open portal um, open a portal into other realms to be able to enslave them, so he could conquer different realms. He didn't have this idea for this machine yet, though. In fact, at one point, I was thinking about doing a prequel where what happened the last time. What's funny is I had some notes I thought, and I don't even remember how they go anymore. Um, that I don't seem to have anymore. But the idea was that the reason half of Harold's magic is gone, and the reason all these different things happen the way that they happen now is because he basically kind of ties up his loose ends. One of them being Harold is the guy that stopped him the last time, so he had to find some way of getting rid of his magic, and so one way is to uh, get him to give away half of his magic. And it just so happens at one point he was going to get married to this lady, give his magic. They end up giving their magic uh, to their wives, and or half of their magic, right? They share their magic with them, and then she was going to divorce him, and then uh, later on he would have to go get to get his magic back. What he'd have to do is he'd have to actually pull out a prenuptial agreement that they actually signed, which which would have been dumb for the bad guy to do anyways. She's one of the bad guys, so she probably wouldn't want to sign it prenuptial. But the idea was a prenuptial so that she doesn't get half of everything. So while they're still married, uh, now and then of course the idea is she still had the prenuptial agreement with her, so there would have had to have been a thing where you'd have to actually go and find a way of getting it away from her, so that he could take it to a judge and have their divorce finalized, or not have their divorce finalized, but they have the divorce, but where she doesn't get half of anything, and so when he presents the prenuptial, then the magic is broken, and Harold gets his magic back. Um, so that was there. Yeah, there's one of the things closing everything up. He wasn't thinking big enough, and this time he's thinking really huge. Um, there was going to be a subplot of him trying to imbue non-magicals, which would be pretty much anybody that goes to Enchanted Lands that doesn't have any kind of magical innate magical ability with magic, so that he could so they could do his bidding by injecting them with Quicksilver, and then later on I went, that's way too intense. It's way too dark for all ages appropriate. Kind of, I guess you could say family friendly, not necessarily family oriented. The whole thing, I always like to say all ages appropriate because you're not always going to make stuff about families. It's not going to be a family where you have the kids and they're doing something goofy and blah 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 blah. You know, really, when you're saying family friendly, you mean all ages appropriate. It means you're not going to have anything objectionable to any age group, so that everybody can equally enjoy. You know, I mean, believe it or not, even though Back to the Future is PG because of the little bit of swearing that they do, it's basically an all ages appropriate movie, and everybody loves it, from young kids to old people, right? And I'm getting towards starting to be an old person almost. I'm not really an old person yet, but I'm getting there. In a few more years, maybe I'll be considered an old person. um, but that's the thing. In fact, they know that rated R movies, which is I don't know what it is in other countries. In the U.S., rated R is basically no one under 18 admitted, so only adults admitted. And this is different than the NC-17 or like X-rated movies or whatever. Those are for like pornography or for extreme gore or whatever, stuff that you wouldn't let kids in anyways. But an R-rated movie just has some junk in it. It might have too much violence or swearing or sex and nudity or something. That's basically what a rated R movie is. Um, but anyways, so I'm kind of looking at my thing, kind of going, yeah, injecting them Quicksilver, doing these experiments, and then you know, uh, get married and then divorcing, and then some of it would have been funny and okay, I guess. But I'm kind of going, that's not something that I should be making. I shouldn't be making something like that. Just all ages appropriate. So I don't tend to use the term family friendly. Family friendly would be a family oriented movie. That is, it would be about a family. It would be about the kids, whatever. Um, Rather than just something that kids could also watch. You know what I mean? I watched Back to the Future when I was 10, right? I'm still a kid at 10 years old. I may be mature for a certain thing, maybe at age 10, maybe not. But so I was able to watch it without much problem there. Obviously, PG means parental guidance here in the U.S., and that means that even though kids are able to go to these movies, they might should be accompanied with an adult, because it might have some subject matter that you shouldn't be talking. Usually, it just means some mild swearing, basically. You know. Of course, Back to the Future also had some innuendo of him and his mom, and so. Uh, and by the way, that's why Disney actually passed on it. They originally approached Disney to produce Back to the Future and distribute it, but they turned it down because of um, Lorraine's attraction to her son, which is, if you think about it, yeah, that's kind of weird. Maybe they shouldn't have went that route, maybe they should have. Maybe Disney should have asked them to remove that little kind of subplot about her liking him, um, and maybe they would have done it, and maybe it would have been a Disney movie then. Back when Disney wasn't woke yet. Um, which is it's kind of weird because they ended up, they made Touchstone Hollywood Pictures, and they ended up doing rated R movies, which is, not under the Disney banner, of course, but still. Um, and then they did a little bit of swearing in later Disney movies, which they shouldn't have done. Really, they shouldn't have. There's there was like some mild cussing in Flight of the Navigator, and that was the first time I heard some of that. And Disney would never have been associated with something that had swearing in it, I believe. Even in the 80s, if he was alive in the 80s and he was cognizant and he was, you know, he would have been in his 80s probably. But if he would have been sharp and healthy and stuff, I think he would not have gone with any kind of swearing or anything. Anyways, I'm going off. I should be going back to the game here. Anyways, so yeah, I had this idea that the autosave would be in there, and you would need to save, and it would be actually be part of the game because you'd read about this backstory about what happened in the Enchanted Lands, and then and then he probably also read. Harold wouldn't have had to. Um, Not Harold. It was the original name of Hubert. Actually, he was called, his full name was Halfway Harold, and he changed his last name, or he got rid of his last name because it rhymed with Harry Potter. Or it rhymed with Potter. It rhymed with, I was gonna say something like Trotter or Rotter or something. And that to avoid copyright infringement, he decided to change his name. And then he put the halfway part on it because he has only half of his magic, and so, um, and I was just gonna go with that as it was be sort of an in joke, well, not an in joke, but sort of like a poking fun at Harry Potter. He was basically Harold was gonna his original name was gonna be the same name as Harry Potter, so it'd be like Harold Potter, and but like he keeps it a secret for copyright purposes, and it was just meant to be a joke. I think originally I just came up with the idea of Harold, and then I realized, oh wait a minute, Harold and Harry, that's the same name essentially. I was going, uh, and I wasn't even copying it consciously. I think it was subconscious. I think I had heard the name Harry and associated with wizard, and when I was making my wizard character, I was like, this would be good a name. Oh, Harold, that'd be a good name. And in my mind, in the back of my brain's going, yeah, Harry Potter. And I didn't really think of that. I wasn't thinking about that at first, and then later on, I realized, that's the same as Harry. And so then I went, okay, well, I'll just make this a joke, and we'll say that his last name rhymes with Trotter or Rotter or something. We'll say Trotter, I guess. So his last name rhymes with Trotter, and his first name is Harold, and so he's saying to avoid any legal entanglements, I decided to change my name to Halfway Harold, and I might go back to Harold. I'm still thinking about it. I'm thinking about it because we're still doing the jokes and we're still kind of poking fun at different things, different pop culture references and whatever, you know. So yeah, this is comedy, so I can do that. I can do pop culture references, uh just like the blonde haired kid opening up all the candy bars to find the golden ticket, and then he might be something like kid, I think you want the one street over. I think that's you know I think that sells the candy bar you're looking for, kind of thing. And so at one point he finds a silver ticket and gives it to him. Although I don't have that written in the story now, so okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and oh yeah, okay. So me let me get back to the thing. Okay, so what I was gonna do is let's actually pull up Discord. I haven't actually put anything in Discord just yet. Uh, let's pull Discord over here, but you don't see it. And then let's go ahead and the itch is already started, baby. Okay. Where is okay? Copy. I'm gonna go ahead and paste these in Discord, and DevTV, yes. Oh, I'm streaming, and self promo. Okay, I'm in Redot, right? Redot, yes. Redot community. Pixie.js has gotten up to 8.12.0. That's pretty impressive. And making money with 3D art. I'm not a 3D artist, so I can't make money with it, I don't guess. Okay. Okay, so let me go back to the story. Um so the original idea, and I still might do it, the original idea was that okay, so he reads this backstory, and then it goes up to the present day. It goes back to they it's a story about how this lizard gets banned for trying to open a portal, and he attempts to conquer a realm. You know what I should do? He should attempt to have attempted to conquer our realm back in the past, and he was thwarted. Um, and that's interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna reveal a spoiler. And what I mean by that is I'm showing all the spoilers to the game, the whole story and everything in the stream. But I was kind of keeping back something that could possibly lead to a future, like a sequel. I don't suspect expect to get that far necessarily. Even if I finish this, might not have a sequel. But there's one thing. There's one loose end that at the end of the story um, that I haven't addressed, which you can leave for a sequel, and that is what happened to the real king. So the real king is missing, and the king that's there now is actually a fake king that Max actually put in his place. That's why he ended up selling enchanted lands to him and everything. That was another part of the backstory. The backstory was that the king was also helpful in defeating Max in the past, and so that was one of the things he had to do. He had to um, he actually had to depose the king somehow. So in the current version, right, the king is missing. Um, the king. Okay, so the king is missing. All right. So like I said, I'm gonna give you some spoilers. It's not really a spoiler in the sense that it's gonna be in this game or in the story or anything, but it's a possible future thing that I'm doing. Okay. So I've had a couple of ideas where um, I had a story a long time ago called the seventh gem, and it was about these jewels, right? The crown jewels, right? Essentially, in this kingdom. And what happened was, in order to protect these gems from the bad guy, I don't know who the bad guy was at this time, but um, he would send them out to different realms, and they wouldn't know where they were, and so the bad guy wouldn't know. And part of the deal would be that the fact that he's figured out where some of these are, and he hasn't found the seventh one yet. He's found all the first six, but he hasn't found the seventh. And that's kind of where our story picks up. And then our story picks up, and kind of similar to Enchanted Lands, where we have a guy in our realm that somehow gets pulled into this other realm, and you find out the gems weren't actually gems at all. They were the seven sons of the king and queen, and before before the bad guy was able to kill him or get rid of him, uh, he sent each of the sons out to these different realms, and the seventh one was in our realm, and that's why it's called the seventh gem, right? And so I was gonna do it that ways, and so it turns out that this ordinary average guy happens to be the royalty from this magic kingdom. This this other basically this other realm, right? This other kingdom. He's actually the prince, and he's actually the last one. He's actually the one that would be king, since um, since the bad guys got all the other six, and I never had any more to that story than this. It's something that just occurred to me that probably would be is normally your firstborn would be your king, would end up being your king, but if he had managed to rescue all six of the other sons, all of his brothers, then maybe they would unanimously promote him, crown him king, because he saved their lives and everything. Basically how grateful they are to him and stuff or whatever. That's just a thought that occurred to me, but that doesn't really matter. I do this all the time. This is why I even have the story, is because I'll be watching something or listening to something or whatever, and I'll just go, that's interesting, and then I'll start. A seed will start, and then I'll be going, well, what this happens? This would be cool if this happened, and what if this happens? Eventually, I have this whole story formed in my head. That's how all my stories get thought out and thought up and stuff. But okay, so anyhow, um we at the end of Enchanted Lands, this game, we do not still know what happened to the king. And that could possibly be uh a subject for a sequel. But the main thing about that is not the fact that he was sent away, or that he's the fact that he's gone and they have to search for him. In fact, that doesn't even really have a bearing on anything, I guess. So, but the idea, anyways, is that John is actually the king's son, the real king's son, and he's able to come back. And then there's this other thing too that I was going to do where he had a piece of Quicksilver on him since he was a baby, you know, and basically we could use. I was thinking something like maybe the king had married a woman from our realm, and so she was the queen, and then maybe uh, John was being either taken care of by his sister, who was old enough to be his mom, or or the fact, or maybe he's being taken care of by his aunt. His aunt is from our realm, and so she raises him as her own son and doesn't tell him, where he's from and all that. I could still even add that stuff back in, but I was just thinking that. What was I thinking now? What was I saying? What is the whole reason I was saying that? Anyways, I don't know even why I was telling you that. But basically, the idea is he's actually from Enchanted Lands. Also, he's not from our realm. Okay, so that's a part of the story. So what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So going back to the game thing. So he reads this thing about the past and what happens in the past, and it 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 shows what happens all the way up until the king gets deposed and stuff, and then it shows his own story. His own story is in the Enchanted Land book, and that the reason why is because he's Enchanted Landian. He's not from Earth. He's not from our realm, and so that's what I was going with the idea about the book. So if he's part of the book, the book is a magic book and it's writing itself, and so it's writing up until himself. So he's actually reading himself, reading about himself. Remember in Spaceballs where they pull out, they wanted something about they wanted to know what happened next, or they wanted to know where Lone Star and his guys are, and they pull out the VHS version, the VHS movie version of Spaceballs while they're in Spaceballs, right? And so it's like it hasn't come out yet, we're doing it, you have that whole thing where they're like they're looking at the video, and it's like them looking at the camera, and then they look back at the video, and the idea is it's all pre-recorded, but as it's happening right now. It's like being recorded as it's happening right now, and so this would be kind of a similar idea. The idea would be, or the Neverending Story, right? It's like the Neverending Story where he's reading all the stuff and he reads his name in there, uh, and then he finds out he's reading about himself, and he's supposed to come up with a name for the childlike empress or whatever. Um, so that was going to be the save system was going to be like that. So he's going to read it. He's going to read what Harold does or Hubert does, and then he's going to say, that he finds out that Hubert was looking for him, and then the next thing it's like he's at the store, he's getting his candy bar, and then it goes up until the exact moment of where he's at, describing exactly what he's doing right now. He's sitting there holding the book and looking at it, and then there's empty uh, blank pages after that, and then that's when the first save goes, and it'll be like a picture would show up, and it would be it would be saved at that position exactly, and that was what would show them the book. So whenever you open the book, you might see a new thing of where it saved it, um, and then you could go back and when you start up the game the next time, you look in the book and you would go back to the point that it saved it at. Anyways, so I wasted almost all my time just explaining that stupid thing, and that's just the way that goes for me, I guess. So apologies for that. Let's move this up. Let's move this off. Okay, so let's go back to okay. John steps through the portal or wanders until he does. Once through the portal, John sees a short fat man get up and put a device on the wall, return to his seat. Little man messes with the device, starts the train tumbling. Train in quotes because it looks like a train on the inside. He doesn't really know what it is. Little man carefully picks his way to what appears to be a princess, sprinkles some dust on her to put her to sleep, and heaves her over his shoulder and jumps out the door. John falls over and blinks out. When John comes to, he's in a forest strewn with garbage from the crashed train. An old man in blue approach him. They talk. You know, first interaction here. Question: Where am I? He says, "You are in Enchanted Lands, my boy, a magical tourist destination for the ridiculously wealthy. Why am I here? I brought you here to help me find out why everything is closed. Why did you pick me? No, those always in books, no friends. You are, in short, perfect. Who are you? Hubert Halfway, and it would have been Harold Halfway. Hubert. Well, it should have been Halfway Hubert. Okay, Hubert Halfway. That's fine. Hubert Halfway, a hearted wizard. I unfortunately only have half of my magic, and when I say half, I mean quite literally half. Huh? You see, when we married, we wizards share half of our magic with our spouses, but she divorced me and shared her magic with someone else. Now I only have half of it. Where is she now? I don't rightly know, lad. That's partly what I intend to find out. Uh, what is Enchanted Lands again? What is Enchanted Lands again? A magic kingdom, you nitwit. We decided to go into tourism to generate revenue so we wouldn't have to tax the citizens. Now what happened to it? It got closed down for the most part. I am to find out why with you. The schools have closed up, and all the hotels and shops are also closed except for the Grand Enchanted Lane, but it's not accepting guests right now. Also, a vampire friend of mine runs a small hotel just outside of Wizard Land. And I guess I would call it Wizard Land because I'm thinking four lands like Disneyland, Wizard Land, Fairy God Land, uh, Princess Land and Nightland. I guess. I mean, I could just totally do that, just outright, just go for it. So that might be what I might do. I'm okay. So what do you want me to do again? Start by going to Knights Academy and then Princess Prep. Here's a map, but only half of it works at a time. I will check out Fairy God College and Wizard U. At the entrance to Knights Academy, there are two guards apparently arguing. If John tries to walk through, the guards will lower their weapons, not allow him to pass. If John talks to one, talks to both, there's a closed sign nailed to the gate. Okay, and then I actually went through this before, but basically there are two parrots on purchase with armor on, and how they're able to move their weapons, I don't know. But this is a comedy fantasy adventure, so anything goes pretty much. Now, the way you get past these guards is you give them chocolate, and they're parrots and they like chocolate. But I found out it's probably dangerous to give parrots chocolate, so I may change it, or I may actually I may somehow fit in some sort of a disclaimer or some sort of a thing that says you shouldn't really give to parrots. Um, maybe it's like a joke. Maybe it says, remember, kids, never give your parrots chocolate or any kind of candy, because it may kill them. But since this is the Magic Kingdom, I figured, why not, or something, some sort of deal where it kind of disclaim it to where you never know. Some kid might see it and might go, "Ooh, I'll give my parrot chocolate," and then that would probably not be a good idea. You yeah, Back to the Future's time machine was originally going to be a refrigerator, and they realized that maybe there'd be some stupid kids out there that would want to try to get into their refrigerators, and so they decided not to do that and went with the DeLorean later instead. But so I might not want to put that in exactly like that. It might not be chocolate. I might change chocolate to something else that they would like. Um, Uh, maybe I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you can't give any sweets really to parrots. You don't really want to do that. It'll make them sick. But I'll have to figure something out. 'Cause maybe it'll just be some sort of goofy thing like, you know. Anyways, let me check something else here. Okay, let me do something. Maybe I can control the tab here. No. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Game designers. It doesn't really matter here. I don't think IRC is a significant source of people coming to my streams. Okay. All right. Anyways, so he offers them chocolate, and so I'm not really sure if I completely change that. I might change to something else. I don't know. But you don't want to give your parrots chocolate. Anywho, let's go back to finding at night, and let's see. Okay, so Knights Academy set up a bunch of tents. The biggest one having an enrollment sign on it. Another guard opening at the opening to the tent appears to be a real person one might have been without a badge. Okay. We have Sir Drinks a lot. Um, some statements the guards make. Uh, okay, Knights Academy notes. Sword in the Stone. Yeah, it's gonna have lots of interesting things. Sword in the Stone, which should just be a reference literally to the Sword in the Stone, the story, or as well as the cartoon, maybe. Maybe it'll look exactly like a cartoon. I don't know. Sword and Stone. Uh, Jousting yards with ostriches. He'll find that odd. That um, that's not really important to the story, but it's funny things that I thought would be in there. Concessions with ale and Yoldy Tricky Legs. And I already mentioned here in another stream. I don't know if anybody saw it, but thing about turkey legs, which is we looked at them. We bought them at Disney World. Disney World. Did we do? We did at Disneyland. Yeah, Disneyland actually had them way back in the day. Our last trip to Disneyland was in 2011, and then we came here in 2014. But the thing is it was okay at first, and then I couldn't stand it. We started eating it, and it's like sort of like smoked ham, but it's not, and it's like stringy, and it's like I don't know. It was kind of gross to me, and we decided then we did not like the turkey legs. They still sell turkey legs today, uh, and I don't get it. People apparently still like them, but anyways, it'll be a little in joke of having turkey legs there. Sooner stands with helmets and names engraved, as well as buttons, pins, and ribbons and pennants. Letterman armor, Geek Knights, Shock Knights, Goth Knights, Dragon on a Stick, Princess Rescue Training Tower. In fact, they borrow some princesses from Princess Prep in order to run that Hot Babe Knights. Um, I put in there, although in game there aren't typically women knights. Just some of these are just meant as in jokes about cliques in school. Geek Prince wants a date. Knight fraternities. I just was trying to add stuff in there. Goals to get people to join your cause and to get info. You can't be let in unless you want to be a knight, and you must find your way out. I don't know about finding your way out. I don't know what I don't know what the context was for that. To build a badge, you need to swipe items from souvenir stand with no money. You need to convince the stand owner to take a break. Souvenirs, hats, helmets. Yeah, well, you might put hats in there, but helmets, buttons, pins, yeah, pens, t-shirts, torches, maps, snow globes, sword and stone snow globe, dragon, knight, castle sculptures, crystal mugs, shot glasses, stickers, toy swords and dragons, portrait drawers. A badge consists of a Knights Academy badge and mini coat of arms with a name. You make one by getting the Knights Academy shield shaped button and some stickers. Um, okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. Uh, Know about the Count. His name is Roy. However, the name of Count Roy is now irrelevant. I did have a thought, which is he's trying to be scary, and Roy is a very scary name. That used to that can be used as an in-game joke. I might even make it so you have to guess his name. Rumpelstiltskin style before you. He'll help you on your cause. Yeah, I forgot about that. Uh, and there should be a way of uh yeah, there should be a way of putting that in there. I'm not sure how you have to work this in, as Hubert has been friends with Roy for a long time. Also, I'm reading my notes, preparing to type them in here, and I'm noticing the Count's main plot and subplot aren't very strong. In fact, they almost seem the same. I'm not sure if I need to give the Count a reason for being a main character. I don't have any actual NPCs written for this game right now, other than a possible few that are in the very scenes that aren't major characters. For instance, the knights John talks to at the academy. Okay. Defeat the Black Knight. Black Knights are Cunningham. Um, okay. See, I won't even have anything actually done for today here. Uh, Knight. King disappears. Administration closes down the Knights Academy. Was a Fairy God College and Princess Prep. Enchanted Holdings goes bankrupt. Doors in their rhymes. Become closed society. Under the guise of Chief of Operations of Enchanted Limited, he uses Knights Academy to train real soldiers. Okay. Uh, Permit the Knights to fight for right. Okay. Evil one sentenced to life in the Knights Academy to train Danny. Great Knight also evading conceded. Black Knight. Knights Academy. Knight. Knight. Oh, that's right. The great magic mirror heist. Basically, they were to watch different areas of the lands, sort of like security, or sort of just so that the king could find out. Uh, the dwarves were commissioned with building 4 new magic mirrors to watch over the lands, specifically to watch the Knights Academy, Wizard Eve, Fairy Guide, College, and Princess Prep. We're only slightly smarter than dwarves and scythes. I took some of my best men, although if you, and through a few secret passageways and went into the mines. We beat up a few guards and stole their clothes, and then basically made off the mirrors like bandits because we're bandits. uh, I presume you still have the mirrors? No comment. Stay out of our way and don't get caught. uh, Knights of King Sir William, Black Knight. Jumping out of Knights Academy. Okay. So William is captured and awaiting Black Knight. Okay. What's the Black Knight? Black Knight. At one point he just fights the Black Knight, but I didn't even think about. I didn't even look at this part. I didn't even look at the my old notes as far as what happens. So later on, he gets the wings, and so he actually fights the Black Knight on on top of his dragon. So in a sense, he ends up fighting him anyways. So it's kind of interesting. Night school, all except night school, and you couldn't get any answers there. Uh, let's see. Then sends John over to night school and Princess Prep. Find a way to get in the school grounds, observing the guards and various knights and others going in and out. Finds his way in. The entrance, two guards. There are numerous souvenir stands. John approaches the guards. So at this point, there's two ways in. Extra note here: you should never give actual parrots chocolate because it can harm them. I'll also your justice later on as we prepare to release this version. The grounds consist of barracks, which are in several tents. There's a jousting arena, a man-to-man combat arena, the mess tent where food is served, several tents for various disciplines like maiden saving, dragon slaying. There's a main tent where you enroll in night school. Inside in the front of the tent is a bare patch of ground where several groups of students loiter about. Several knights are walking around, and various cliques like those formed in school are on display. Few what looks to be princesses marking the jock knights as they flex and brag, and they tend to have giant letters on the back of their armor. So there's some geek knights with their high-tech abacuses, some wearing tape glasses over their helmets, and some wearing pocket protectors on their armor, all wearing armor. And the Babe Knights wearing pastel-colored armor and gossiping. Some knights are sparring, seem to be actually inflicting damage on each other. Not very welcome for tourists, but then again, you don't think you see any. Possible information John can gather. Why are all the other schools closed except for this? They're actually training for real. John could ask Princess Karen, but they say she hasn't shown up. Thus, okay, the school is closed. You may ask a few princes there how to get into Princess Prep, even though it's closed. He asks about dragons and why they seem to be attacking villages. Okay. After asking around, John finds out the schools were closed one day, and the only explanation given is refurbishment. Night schools left open so they could actually train the military. And since there didn't seem to be many tourists around, they decided to train them with real weapons and real fighting. He also learned one day the dragons started acting evil and it's no longer safe to be around them. He also learned that Princess Karen was due to speak at Princess Prep, but hasn't shown up yet. But it doesn't matter anyways because the school's closed. He learns that Princess Prep and Wizard Year both closed. Fairy God College is probably open, but they're not letting anyone in or leave. John managed to find a way to escape into Princess Prep. Once there, he manages to make his way to the headmistress' office. Okay, blah blah blah. Okay. Kent wants to find a mate. Okay, after Mouse Wizard. I don't know Mouse Wizard anymore because it sounded dumb to me later. Hubert sends John over to night school. Uh, Night school started training with real weapons, dragons started. Uh, okay. Okay. Up the night in training. Okay. I'm just trying to yeah, so he'll probably learn about Sir William the actual night. Okay. Lots of places you could go, but I think I am going to. I think I'm going to quit now because it's already 11 o'clock. So getting things done today, of course, like usual. But whatever, we'll see. We'll try again the next time I'm able to stream, which might not be until Monday. So until then, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Um, I'll be back for part two in an hour or thereabouts. Thank you for watching.